Right, so hello everybody. Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. If you're live here to watch the Chinese Grand Prix sprint race. So it's an interesting build up to the race. Practice in the first pre-practice, we saw George Russell really keeping up his pace, having nearly a really good length ahead of the most of the other grid, apart from the Ferraris, who were able to close in at certain times. So look at the sprint of 131, setting a lap time of 130. Right, so George Russell set a lap time of 131.520. Let me show it to you actually. 131.809. A couple of seconds after that is Lando Norris, 132.141. After that, just nearly close, just 0.020 seconds later, is Lewis Hamilton, 132.161. And then right just after that, Oscar Piastri in fifth, 132.224. The first car to be a full, no, not full second actually. A slower than is one Charles Leclerc, and an impressive seventh for Pierre Gasly in the Mercedes, sorry, Alpine Mercedes, and then eighth. There's a bit of a disappointing start for Max Verstappen this season. Ninth is Oliver Behrman, who really kept up his pace during free practice one, and 10th is Isaac Hadjar. 11th is Nico Hulkenberg, and just missing out on uh, just missing out by 11th of 0.04 seconds is 12th Esteban Ocon in the Haas. 13th Liam Lawson, 14th Gabriel Bortoleto, 15th Arvin Lindblad, 16th Franco Colapinto, 17th Carlos Sainz, and 18th was Alex Albon, but he has been apparently given a start from pit lane because he had modified the car under Parc Ferme. So he'll be starting the sprint race today starting the sprint race from the pit lane. 19th, the very disappointing Aston Martin Honda, and 20th is Lance Stroll. 21st and 22nd are the Cadillacs of Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez, respectively. So that's the sprint qualifying results. So, as you saw from the sprint qualifying results, it's not looking that impressive. I mean, yes, from a certain length, Mercedes, from the far end, Mercedes and Ferrari will be having a bit of a blast, with McLaren just keeping a close edge behind them. Red Bull has slowed their progress this year. Their first race at Australia did represent that because Isaac Hadjar qualified P3 only to retire from his engine starting to blow up. But Max Verstappen, who went from last place to sixth, uh, good sign of him. That's again that can be expected out of Max Verstappen. Shows a bit of a variation. They're not really ready or have made the car towards front row grid car. This car is not really capable of going for front row. It doesn't seem like that. And just a minute. Right, as I was saying, my apologies for leaving in a delay. But yes, as I was saying, Red Bull hasn't built a car for the front row. They're struggling to get in the front row. Even if during qualifying, Isaac had out qualify Max Verstappen, it's a very rare occurrence. The only time that happened was in Australia 2014, where Daniel Ricciardo had famously taken P1 and just lost out P2 from Lewis Hamilton, but he did out qualify his then reigning world champion teammate, uh, Sebastian Vettel. So that's not the point. What I'm trying to represent here. What I'm trying to represent here is Max will struggle this year. He might be looking out for a move. He will be also participating in the 24 hours in Nürburgring and all. His interest from Formula One is also slowly starting to go down and down. So we may either see two options here this time. Either Max Verstappen leave Red Bull, which might be one of the biggest shockers, or somewhat of a less shocker, him leaving Formula One. It's a potential outcome, but certainly, you know, can be outcome. It can be anything. This time, from the midfield, cars from the midfield have done well. Alpine, or however you want to say it, they have dropped Renault as the engine supplier. Renault potentially stops making Formula One engines, and they've chosen Mercedes as the engine partner. And as you can see from the qualifying result, Pierre Gasly went P7, which is an impressive result. The Pierre Gasly can cook up a great qualifying result and a great race whenever the car and him work together. And Haas also haven't disappointed this time, because not only during the free practice, Oliver Behrman was within the top five, and Esteban Ocon isn't that far behind. He's sometimes just reaching out of the top 10, sometimes staying within it. He's still bridging the gaps. He's doing very well for a car that should be midfielders, but they can go forward this time. They are, if I'm not wrong, can do better than their famous 2018 season, where they've clinched P5 and lost P4 just to Renault. And Audi Sauber. Apart from the first race, which was a bit of a mixed result, because although one side here, Gabriel Bortoleto scored a point and all from a very lowly qualifying results. Sorry, not lowly qualifying, he qualified 10th. My apologies. He did qualify well and all, but the other end in Australia, Nico Hulkenberg could not start the race. His second ever Australian Grand Prix DNS. But this time, from the qualifying results, it seems they have done well, because not only Gabriel Bortoleto is somewhat out qualifying at times Nico Hulkenberg, at least this time he has outqualified him twice. Hulkenberg seems to keep a close region behind him. He's only 11th, and his pace doesn't seem to slow down at all. Hulkenberg only 35, 36. He has been racing in the sport since 2010. He's the third most experienced driver on the grid, so there's no wonder calling him slow. What can be called slow, however, are Aston Martins and the Cadillacs. Cadillac being slow was one of my suspected outcomes, uh, but not really. I wasn't expecting much, considering they're using Ferrari engine, which doesn't have much of a engine upgrade ratios. That's why only Ferrari uses them, and this time Cadillac only. And the drivers are good. It's Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, both of them who spent a year out of the sport. However, the bigger issue is the car isn't having any, you know, development plans. There's not a gap enough for them to develop the car and, show that potential result upgrade. It's not enough of area for one to develop through. And for the Aston Martins, well, it's just a horrible mixed bag of, you know, nothingness. The car has vibration issues. It's struggling to, keep a front end grip. The car is just too slow from the corners. The engine's horrible. Both of the drivers are like drivers are pushing to their limits. Lance Stroll pushing the cars to the limit sounds wrong. Fernando Alonso has complained. The car was previously 4 seconds slower than the grid. It's a very wrong sign for Aston Martin, but it is good. Just 3 years back, they were winning podiums, and 3 years later, they're unable to get a car to go to the front row of the grid. It's a very slow decline, but it's a big decline considering they dropped Mercedes for in favor of Honda, thinking they might get the same, engine expertise and all they got Red Bull. Honda got with Red Bull. They are not. They're not having anything. Even though they have Adrian Newey, the man who worked with Red Bull and Honda, they are not having that level. It's a very, very disappointing outcome, certainly. And unless until they can rework it, maybe this time I might see Aston Martin finish last, or maybe have a car like Alonso did it from 2015 till 17, the McLaren Honda, and not a lot of us want to remember that. My mic's not working. My apologies for my apologies for the delay of starting the race. I'm sounding up. Hello, hello. Where's 10 seconds? Okay. Hmm? Malazi. Okay. Nice.
ହଁ ନେଇଛି ନେଇଛି ମାନେ ସବୁଦିନ ତାଙ୍କର ଏପଟେ ଏମିତି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ନେଇକି ଲୋକ ଘରେ ଦଉନାହାନ୍ତି କାଲି ତ ଜଣଙ୍କର ଆସିଛି ଅଞ୍ଜଳି ମାସି ଗୋଟେ କରିଛନ୍ତି ହଁ ଅଞ୍ଜଳି ମାସି ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ବୁକିଂ ବି କାଲି ପଡିନା ହେଇଛି ବୋଉର ହେଇନି ସେ ଏବେ କରିପାରିବନି ହଁ ସିଏ ଏକା କଣ ତାର ଆମ ପରି ତାର ମାସେ